Well, the Horizon series that I call the Horizon series is towards the latter part of my career, probably since the 80s, early 80s, up to the present time. Now that all comes because of I grew up by the lake, and the lake has been a sort of a fixed thing in my memory of growing up and living by the lake all during my life, except the time that I was at the sea, at the East Coast. But then the Atlantic Ocean became a fixation for me in the same way, of looking towards the water and then towards the horizon line, over the edge, as I say, looking towards the beyond, or looking towards the unknown, which I use as a kind of a metaphor to seek the mystery, if you want to call it that, the mystery of painting, looking for that very mystery of what is in my mind of what painting is all about. I think my subject matter probably comes from nature, in the sense that I'm doing some interpretations of the lake or the surrounding areas. The sky above the horizon line, or in front of the lake, or the rocks, or the sand, or trees. One of the things that's always going to be with us is a certain kind of a literal interpretation of the world, because of the natural simplicity of peoples and languages. The idea of a tangible object. My subject matter is not literal, but it's what's in front of me in terms of the lake and the sky, and the movement of the sky, or the noise of the water. All of those elements are there somehow, and I suppose it would be nice to think that maybe some of those very elements are into the work, the artwork itself, so that it can make a connection to the viewer. Yeah. Looking out at the lake now, and I see that tree in front of me, and in front of the water and the sky, and I'm waiting for those berries to turn red as part of a process, again, of nature. And I look at the seasons that way, too. Right now it's very lush because of the greenery and the growth and the flowers. And then in the winter and the fall, it'll come back to a grayness, but the water will still be there in another sense. So it'll It'll always be there. The two little pieces that I have upstairs, the one of the top layers is a lavender, which is just at random a choice of what I want to do at that moment, using perhaps a lavender instead of a blue, for instance. So, and that's very, in one sense, that's very realistic, because the sky is always changing, and at one time it might be lavender, and another time it might be blue. So it's constantly changing. So the choices are endless in what I choose to make the sky, and certainly the same applies to the water. It doesn't necessarily have to be blue. As I say, I grew up near the lake, and near the Chippewa village where I was born. As a child, I always liked to draw, even though I didn't know anything about art or what connection that was, but I had some incentive to copy nature in the sense of drawing, mostly from illustrations, I used to also like to carve things out of wood as I was growing up, and growing up with having a jackknife and carving things out of wood. So I guess that was part of the art thing that was coming out. I spent a year and 2 months at a hospital in St. Paul, 10 years old. And I think that left me with a kind of a shyness and for all my life. Yeah, and I think, but it also strengthened me in other ways, which I think that reinforced the art too. Some sort of pause for reflection, or that kind of inner thing. It's fascinating anyway, just to think of the vastness of that, the whole vastness of the universe. Broad, very, 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 very complex and very mysterious. Looking at many paintings that I've done, and sometimes I wonder how I ever did them. In the sense that they come around by magic. Then if you wanted to do that again, maybe you couldn't do it, because you don't know how you did it in the first place. That's hard to explain. Yeah. And I always think that even a brush stroke can become magic, because it's coming from the artist's hand, and he's making a mark on paper or on a canvas, and that becomes something that you can associate with. And I know that we always talk, my friends, painter friends and myself always talk about the fact that maybe Rembrandt would do a portrait of a man folding his hands in front of him, and that the thumb would be done with one stroke. That kind of explanation says it all too, in terms of the magic that one can, that an artist can do with that very one stroke, the width of a brush stroke, indicating a thumb. I don't believe in an afterlife. I don't believe in heaven or earth. I was brought up a Catholic, but I guess I left it when I was 18. And I respect people who do. I'm not a religious person in the church sense. Yeah, but I do believe in a certain kind of spirituality, I suppose, which relates to religion in a way. And that's I guess that's my religion, which is nature. I like the idea of seeing underneath, which was part of the mystery, I think, of looking into the beyond.